Top 10 bizarre moments from Amber Heard's Today Show interview. Heard opened up to NBC's Savannah Guthrie during her first TV appearance since losing the high-profile defamation case brought by Johnny Depp. Hi, I'm your host Bridget Shields, and let's take a look at some of the strangest things that she said. Number 10. Criticized social media. Heard spoke about the role that social media played in the trial and emphasized just how much the internet supported Johnny Depp, saying, quote, "Even if you think that I'm lying, you still couldn't look me in the eye and tell me that you think on social media there's been a fair representation." And it's pretty clear what she's referring to. It's true that on TikTok, people have overwhelmingly shown their support for the Pirates of the Caribbean actor. In fact, the hashtag Justice for Johnny Depp has around 20 billion views on TikTok, while hashtag Justice for Amber Heard only has 80 million. Hashtags like Amber Heard is guilty has over 900 million views on social media, so it's not unreasonable for her to call the social media frenzy surrounding the trial as unfair. But it's another thing entirely to claim that this influenced the jury's decision. Number 9. Claimed she wasn't acting. When Guthrie asked Heard about the accusations in court that she was acting on the stand, she fired back, saying, quote, "Says the lawyer for the man who's convinced the world that he had scissors for fingers. I'm the performer?" It's obvious she was referring to Depp's role as Edward Scissorhands here, but the way she worded the response was really quite funny. What she was trying to insinuate is Depp is the one who is an award-winning actor, so if anyone was capable of performing on the stand, it would be him. Heard followed it up by saying that she had to listen to weeks of testimony saying quite directly that she's a terrible actress. So she's a bit confused about how she could be both. The question was obviously a very touchy one for her, as at the end of the trial, Depp's lawyer Camille Vasquez accused her of faking tears, calling the actor's testimony the performance of her life, even going on to reference Heard's acting coach Christina Sexton, who said that she had difficulty crying when acting. Number 8. Admitted to her mistakes. In what sounded like a moment of real accountability for Heard, she admitted to Guthrie that she has so much regret about the way that she and Depp treated each other during their relationship, and about where they ended up. She also described their dynamic as toxic, saying, quote, "It was ugly. It could be very beautiful," and in a moment of genuine admission, she went on to say, quote, "We were awful to each other. I made a lot of mistakes, but I've always told the truth." When Guthrie brought up the idea that she lost the case because she didn't own up to anything, Heard clarified that she did do and say horrible, regrettable things throughout her relationship, and that she behaved in a horrible, almost unrecognizable way, and that she has so much regret, adding that she freely and openly and voluntarily talked about what she did. This was a really bizarre moment in the interview because Heard seemed like she was trying to come clean about at least part of the role she played in the disintegration of their relationship. Number 7. Talks about the First Amendment. When asked about people's reaction to the trial, Heard brought up the issue of free speech and claimed that the defamation case was bigger than just the two of them, saying, quote, "This is not only about our First Amendment rights to speak." But Guthrie had a quick comeback, saying while the First Amendment protects speech, it doesn't protect lies that amount to defamation. But Heard really pushed back, saying, quote, "It's freedom to speak truth to power." And according to her, that's exactly what she did and paid the price for it. She then went on to say that if she went into a theater and yelled fire, it would also be considered free speech, even though there would be severe consequences for doing that. She also claimed that truth is what she was really after all along, and only wanted the liberty to express it. It's not very hard to catch on to what she was saying here, that the verdict of the trial was indicative of a larger systemic issue surrounding free speech. Number 6. Brings up the UK trial. When referring to the UK trial that Depp lost, Heard said, quote, "There was another trial that dealt with the same substantive issues and had even more evidence in. In fact, my evidence was largely kept out." She then went on to claim that because the decision was made by a jury and not by a judge, Depp's defense team was easily able to influence them. While it's true that a London court rejected Depp's defamation lawsuit, Camille Vasquez pointed to the fact that the evidence presented in the US trial far exceeded what was presented in the UK court. She also explained that it was a different process entirely, because in London, Depp's lawsuit was against The Sun, which is considered to be the biggest tabloid in the country, but his lawsuit in Virginia was against Heard directly. Vasquez added that at this time she believes the jury got it right. While it's impossible to find out exactly which pieces of evidence were suppressed, as Heard claims, she clearly does not want anyone to forget the fact that she won in the first trial. Number 5. criticizes his supporters and fans. Heard also confessed to Guthrie that she felt less than human during her defamation trial because of the overwhelming outrage against her by Depp's fans. Quote, "Every single day I passed for 3, 4, sometimes 6 blocks, city blocks, with people holding signs saying, 'Burn the witch' and 'Death to Amber.'" What she's talking about, of course, were the hundreds of protesters waiting outside the courtroom. She added, quote, "After 3.5 weeks, I took the stand and saw a courtroom just packed full of Captain Jack Sparrow fans who were vocal, energized." When Guthrie asked her how that felt, she called it the most humiliating and horrible thing that she's ever been through, and that she has never felt more removed from her own humanity. It must have been surreal to see that Johnny Depp fans who were once cheering her on at the red carpet were now yelling and jeering at her. But what did she expect? The court proceedings were broadcast live on TV throughout the 6-week trial, which of course attracted crowds of in-person admirers, most of whom supported her ex-husband. Number 4, admits he had better lawyers. When Guthrie asked whether or not Depp had better lawyers and if that led to the US trial playing out differently, Heard said Depp's lawyers, quote, "certainly did a better job of distracting the jury from the real issues." An official spokesperson for Heard explained why it was that she decided to come on NBC. Quote, "Johnny Depp's legal team blanketed the media for days after the verdict, with numerous statements and interviews on television, and Depp himself did the same on social media, going on to criticize the fact that Depp's lawyers have appeared on Today and Good Morning America for interviews following the case." Heard's spokesperson called this behavior, quote, "unseemingly and unprofessional," and said that they were doing a victory lap for setting back decades of how women can be treated in the courtroom. But even Heard's lawyer Elaine Bredhoft said that there were some things that her team wished they could have done differently. She added that she thinks the atmosphere of the trial was what played the ultimate role. Number 3, blames jurors. Regarding the jury being influenced by the social media circus surrounding the trial, Heard said, quote, "I think even the most well-intentioned juror, it would have been impossible to avoid this," adding that she thinks the jury is not immune to seeing how the vast majority of this trial was played out on social media. She also believes that this trial was an example of social media gone haywire, and that it would have been impossible for an unsequestered jury to avoid this. Although the jury was instructed to stay off social media, Heard's legal team insisted that it impacted the case. Bredhoft told Guthrie, quote, "There's no way they couldn't have been influenced by it. And it was horrible. It was really, really lopsided." But this is all in response to an appearance from Depp's attorneys, Benjamin Chu and Camille Vasquez, saying that there was no reason to believe the jurors violated their oath by engaging on social media. The truth is, there's really no way to know for sure. And number 2, discredits the audio tapes. Speaking about the alleged domestic violence in their relationship, Heard said, quote, "I never had to instigate it. I responded to it. When you are living in violence and it becomes normal, as I testified to, you have to adapt to it." But Guthrie pushed back, saying that Heard spoke of starting fights on recorded audio. And Heard said, quote, "I know how much has been made of these audio tapes. They were first leaked online after being edited. What you would hear in those clips is not evidence of what was happening." Guthrie continued by reading some of the transcripts, to which Heard hit back, quote, "As I testified on the stand about this, when your life is at risk, not only will you take blame for things that you shouldn't take blame for," and claiming that the 20-second clips are not representative of the 2 or 3 hour conversations they came from. But when Guthrie asked her why she hadn't submitted the full recordings, she just said, "I'm not a lawyer." And coming in at number 1, she maintains her story. When Guthrie heard about her testimony in court, Heard said, quote, "To my dying day, I'll stand by every word of my testimony." And when Guthrie asked her about the fact that Depp denied that he ever hit her, and if that statement was a lie, Heard said, "Yes, it is." Ending the interview, Heard said, quote, "I made a lot of mistakes, but I've always told the truth. I had the rare vantage point of seeing in real time how institutions protect men accused of abuse." And with that, it seems like she has chosen to maintain her version of events and the allegations that she's made about her ex-husband Johnny Depp. Just how long she decides to stick to her story is something only time will tell. Thanks for watching, and as always, be sure to like and subscribe.